welcome to the Island Lamb, and I'm Diane, and this is episode 27. It's the end of July, getting ready to move into August. The garden and the yard and all that's happening is that late July vibe. So the blackberries, they're not ready yet, but they are, they're on the vines, they look nice and full. They're just turning that pinky purple color. So I'm thinking in another week or so, I'll be picking some of those blackberries. The tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes are coming along pretty fast. The beefsteaks are a little bit slower. I'm battling with that. I got that tomato worm. I thought by putting marigolds in my whiskey barrel, I wouldn't get them, but I found one and he was pretty good size. And then I figured out he was pretty good size because he had eaten quite a few of the about to be little buds for the cherry tomatoes. So I think I've got that under control, and picking a few of the cherry tomatoes now. I have red onions growing. It's the first time I've ever tried growing red onions, and that's really, anytime I've never tried to grow onions before, so that's been kind of fun. And it was one plant, but I'm getting three big purpley bulbs coming up from the ground. So I'm watching those, and I have morning glories kind of twining up, crawling up my lamppost and crawling up my back deck. I haven't seen a bud on them yet, so it's new to me. I'm just trying morning glories. So a lot of new things going on, and then a lot of tried and trues, like the wild blackberries. I don't have to prune them. I don't have to do much except for picking them. So let's see, where does that bring us? You may have noticed when I did my opening, I also included a little watercolor, and I thought I would talk a little bit before we get into the knitting about where that's coming from. I was very fortunate growing up with a lot of art, very artsy people around my life. My dad and most of his family members all played guitar, so I was able to learn that. My brother and I learned that at a very young age. I have an uncle who has since passed, but he was a pretty well-known artist in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts, and he did watercolors, acrylics, and oil paintings, and our family has his work all around our house, and someday maybe I'll show you some of his work. My brother paints, and he sketches, and he's very good. Both my mother and father had a good eye for sketching. My dad very mechanical, my mom very flowing. She knits and she sews, and so when I was a young girl, like probably in my early teens, I played with sketching and I played with pastels because my uncle, who was the artist, gave me some materials to play with. And then Mom and I took some classes, adult education classes at my high school. And then when I moved to Block Island, my mother and I took a couple of water classes on Block Island. And then I kind of set that aside. But since we've sold the business, all this stuff is bubbling up. I'm knitting more now. I want to sketch and I want to watercolor. So I'm not great at it. I'm playing. I really like details, and I'm trying to learn how to open that up a little bit. I've tried different tutorials online, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. So that's why you're starting to see some of the watercolors showing up. Okay, so what am I wearing? Well, you've seen this before. I think you saw it on the mannequin in one of my previous episodes, and this is called For the Love of Recipes, The Love of Remnants Recipes, and it's by Kate Hiester, and it's on Ravelry. And this is really fun because you can really do whatever you want. And when I had it on the mannequin, we talked about this a little bit. I chose 2 different colors, but you could do the body in one color, and then you could do this in several different colors. You could make this 3 colors and several different colors. So it's really what you have left over in your stash. This was all leftover yarn. It was called Sunshine. It is not available anymore. I bought the last skein of it a few years ago on one of Webb's sales, but you could really use anything. Now the pattern recommends a US 5 needle, which is a 3.75 millimeter, and 800 to 900 yards, which is 732 to 823 meters for the whole project. I made it a little bit longer, so I probably used a little bit more, but I think this is you could do this in lightweight, probably fingering, and just hold two fingerings together. You could probably add a mohair in it. You could make this long sleeve, so it could be a summer weight, it could be a winter weight. But I made this for a summer weight, and I've worn this with white slacks. And I noticed when I was going back at some of my other episodes to gather some information, I think almost every episode I say, oh, and this would look great with white slacks. I think it's because when you live in New England, your opportunity to wear white is pretty short. We don't have a whole lot of hot, warm days where we want to wear white. So I try to wear white as often as I can. So I think that's why I'm constantly saying, oh, I would wear this with white, a white skirt or white slacks. So I do recommend this pattern, and I want to make this again, and I've been thinking about that a little bit. I think I'd like to make it long sleeve. I love a boat neck. This is a great boat neck. If I recall, the back and the front are the same. I don't believe there was any shaping. I know there's no German short rows. This is worked, you know, across. So it's like one piece with an opening for the neck. And then you just, no, it's worked in the round. And I did do a little waist shaping. I just looked down and noticed it. So you're working in the round. So it's really, really easy. Okay, so what is on the mannequin? Well, there's a couple of things. So I didn't make this little red tank top. I'm just using it to kind of highlight what is on the mannequin. So I mentioned this skirt once before as well. It was in a previous episode. It was when I was on vacation. I just threw some skeins of white cotton in my suitcase and really didn't know what I was going to do with it. So this is, okay, let me get to this. This skirt is called Summer Elegance. It's by Drops Design. It's a free pattern. It's knit in the round. You start at the top. It was supposed to have an elastic waistband, but my thoughts were I wanted to wear this maybe over a bathing suit as a cover-up, and also with a little white slip, I would wear it as a skirt, maybe with a tank top. And I wanted to be able to adjust that waistline for, you know, how a bathing suit sometimes gives you a different kind of feeling than if you just had a very light cotton slip on. So I made the placket, you know, knit it down. It has a purl row on the top of some stocking knit, so that helps you make the fold. You're going to leave the opening, and I just made a really long I-cord and decided to use a drawstring so I could keep adjusting the size of the waist. It's a really fun lace pattern if you have lace on your mind. If you have a lightweight cotton or a cotton linen blend or a bamboo cotton, I would be careful about things that stretch too much. This has not grown at all. And I didn't block it. I haven't washed it yet. I think I can see that maybe it's ready for a little washing. I think when you wear it as a beach cover-up, which is what I've been doing, you might pick up a little bit of the residue off of your sunscreen. So I think I will. And, you know, I might put, I know this might sound a little crazy, I might just put a cap of Color Fast bleach in the water just to help work off some of that, maybe that residual sunscreen. You can make this shorter. The original pattern was for it to be short. I added some length. It was supposed to end somewhere around here, and I added this length. I think this would be really pretty, even longer. And I think I talked about in that episode, you know, it would have been fun to make this into a dress. It would have been easy enough to do because you had, you know, I could have made that placket as a separate piece, and I could have kept going up had I had enough yarn. So that's been on my mind as well. So just a fun summer weight. Yes, there is some lace. There were some charts, but you can see it's pretty repetitive. But if you don't love charts and you don't love lace, it's probably not going to be the best way to get into that. All right, so I wanted to show you another bag. This is a great beach bag. Now, this is called the Medano Beach Bag, and it's by Heidi Kermayer. All of this information will be in the show notes. And you could use cotton, linen, hemp, as long as it's a DK weight. That's what they call for to get this size. So it starts off flat. You're going to start working, I can talk about it because it's a free pattern. So you're going to start working flat, and you're going to do this part here. And then you're going to pick up some stitches. I think you'll have live stitches at one end of the triangle and at the other end. And then you're going to pick up these stitches, and you're going to work your way up. I put a little knot on the top. Let's see if you can, I'll take it down so you can see it. I put a little knot on the top because I made it pretty long. It hasn't stretched too much. I put the knot so I could hold it a little closer to me, but I could change the length of that easily. And it is intended to be that way. So you're just making two straps and you tie the knot, but it's where you want that knot to be. So I think this is really fun. I think it looks kind of nautical. I did see there's a couple of folks who have made this on Ravelry in different colors. The blue and white is really pretty. This holds a lot, and another great little summer knit. So I should actually leave this off because I want to, the name of this episode is Summer Knits and a Big Surprise. And I had a big surprise. So you know I've only been podcasting not even a full year yet. I started, I think, the last week in September. And, you know, little by little, I grew some followers, and one of my YouTube followers Instagrammed me and said that she and her husband were going to be coming out this way. They live in Virginia. They were going to be coming out this way. Her husband is a pilot, and they were going to fly into Boston and Maine and Providence, and then they wanted to do a day trip to Block Island. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And she was like, maybe we can meet at Northlight Fiber, which is our a little fiber mill and little knitting retail shop on Block Island. I was like, yes, yes, yes. So it happened. So Barbara and Roger, hello if you're watching, came out on the ferry. I met them at Northlight Fiber. Ironically, Northlight Fiber was closed for the whole week, and we have since learned that they're no longer going to produce yarn. They're going to sell off what they have, and so that was a little disappointing. But when Barbara and I met eyes, it was like kindred spirits. And the surprise, there's several surprises, but one of the surprises for me is, you know, I'm a little older. I think as we get older, we don't make friends as easily, maybe, or we don't gather friends as easily as maybe when we were little. I just had my 45th class reunion, and I was with people I played on the playground with, who I haven't even stayed friends with because my husband and I moved around quite a bit with our careers. So when we locked eyes, I felt friendship immediately. And so we were like, okay, so the yarn shop is closed, what next? So we were gonna have a little snack at this food truck, which is closed on Mondays or Tuesdays, whatever day they came. I think they came on a Monday. We were like, well, let's go across the street and try this lovely inn, the 1661 Inn, and see if we can get brunch. Well, the brunch was over, but they were having complimentary coffee, and we were able to sit out on that beautiful deck with that beautiful view. And within 5 minutes, I was like, I need to call my husband. We need to get all four of our energy going. And we have a lot of similarities in knitting style, and we've owned our own business and sold our business, and Roger owns his own business. So right away, we had lots to talk about. And we went out to lunch, and I'm showing you a picture of me and Barbara, and we're toasting with a glass of Prosecco, and just, we are so happy. And that is authentic, real happiness from the bottom of my toes. And so another surprise, because we didn't even really get to talk knitting that much, because once we had our husbands together, it was just talking about life and, you know, our backgrounds. But Barbara handed me this little bag. And this little bag is from her local yarn shop, which is called Dances with Wolves. And they sell knitting, crochet, spinning, and weaving supplies. It's in Virginia. And there was a skein of yarn in here. Now, I have since wound the yarn, so I'm gonna see if I can give you as you can see right away, my favorite colors. And Barbara knows that because she had been watching the podcast. Beautiful blues and greens, and it's just gorgeous. And so this is Finger Hill Yarns, and the colorway is inspired by murals done by Andrew Hem. So Andrew Hem paints all these murals, and this is the inspiration for this gorgeous colorway. Dyed in Virginia with love, it says on the tag. Its fingering weight is 75% merino and 25% nylon. There's 463 yards on this skein. So we have our beautiful lunch together. We drop them off in town so they can enjoy town, and we say goodbye. And within a few days, Barbara and I are now FaceTiming with each other because we never even talked about what did we have on the needles. So I'm thinking about this yarn. I'm thinking about Barbara. I'm thinking about this wonderful surprise to have this blooming friendship start to happen this late in life. And I started to think about the Alpine Bloom pattern by Caitlan Hunter. And so I'm going to I don't usually put a work in progress on the needles, and you know what, I don't know that I'm going to be able to put it over, but I want you to see, well, maybe not, I'm just going to go like this. I want you to see, is this exquisite? And is this yarn not just perfect? So this pattern, the Alpine Bloom, starts at the neck. You do this lovely little lace neck, and then you get right into your color work. And can you see the flowers? These beautiful flowers and leaves. And I just couldn't wait to get this yarn on the needles and think about meeting Barbara and our wonderful day together. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the white yarn too. So when I was thinking that I had to make the sweater, I started to think, well, you know, what am I going to use with that yarn? That beautiful yarn. It has to be something as gorgeous, right? And so in my stash, I had Plymouth Yarns Charlemont, which is a fingering weight yarn. And I bought this when I was when I went to Rhinebeck last October. I bought this Charlemagne just to put in my stash. So this is 60% fine superwash merino wool, 20% mulberry silk, and 20% polyamide. For 100 grams, it's 439 yards. So it weight-wise, it's a perfect match. And you can see it is a perfect match. So I have tried it on. I should have put it on the barber cord so I could have put it on the mannequin for you. I've tried it on. I feel really good about the sizing. It is getting a little loose, and I think it's going to have a lovely drape because of the mulberry silk and the merino. So right about an inch from here, I did decide to do 2 decreases on each side of the side, and I think I'll do that maybe 2 more times, just so it's not too baggy loose. But I just can't wait to wear this. And I thank you, Barbara and Roger, for coming out and spending most of your day on Block Island with me and my husband. And thank you for this beautiful yarn. And I will always think about, you know, Barbara when I wear this and our new blooming friendship. So surprises, beautiful surprise. Okay. I'm gushing. I'm gonna move on to the next thing. So what else have I been working on? Well, you did see, if you've been following me on Instagram or on Instagram and Facebook, I finished my dumpling bag. This is the Pearl Soho dumpling bag. It is adorable. I used my leftover linen quill that I used for my half and half triangle shawl by Pearl Soho, and then I used it in my stone crop pullover by Andrea Mowry, and I've made this. And can I tell you, I think I still have more than 100 yards left on the skein. So I wanted to make a lining. Now I haven't sewn in a long time. I don't have any more yarn in the house, fabric in the house, but I had this pillowcase which was for a single, and I don't have a single, so I had this pillowcase and I just decided to use it. I made a little pocket. I thought I was going to use my sewing machine, but my sewing machine and I have been at it for years, and I finally decided it was time to get rid of it. The presser foot won't come down. I had the housing off. I went in, I cleaned it, I oiled it, I took it apart. It was never a good machine. It was an inexpensive machine, and I just said, I'm done with it. So I hand stitched it on. I love this. I've been putting my little projects, if I'm doing a small project, my sock yarn in here. It looks so cute hanging off my wrist. I've made one in the navy blue linen quill that I have to block, and I'm going to line that. So since this project, I decided, okay, I have to really be honest with myself. Am I going to sew? Do I want to buy another sewing machine? I haven't really sewn in years. Mom and I sewed quite a bit when I was young. My mom made a lot of my clothes. She tailored and sewed. Really beautiful sewist. We had an old singer that was in a piece of furniture. We battled that machine too. We battled with the bobbin. And then my mom has now a portable singer. And so I said to my mom, can I borrow your machine for a few months and see if this is really going to happen before I invest? And she was like, of course. The last time her machine was here, my mother and I made slip covers for a sectional couch that had, 15 pillows on it. And we took the old one apart. We took the industrial zippers out. We used them again so that I knew I could operate that machine. So I brought the machine out. I had, a few moments of getting acquainted with it and how to do the bobbin. And I bought 2 patterns. I bought a shorts pattern and a little top. My goal was to make some cotton pajamas. I'm not going to show them to you this time, but maybe next time. But I made the shorts pattern, which have an elastic waist and a little placard in the front. I made the shorts, and then I drafted my own from a little round neck sleeveless top that I have. I drafted my own pattern for that, and I made a cute pair of pajamas. And I was like, yes, I miss sewing. I want to sew. So I'm going to go off eventually and look for a nice machine. So if anyone has any suggestions, I don't need a quilting too much embroidery, too many bells and whistles. I want to go forward and backward. I want to be able to baste. I'd like to make buttonholes and, you know, buttons and two needles so I can do top stitching, just your basics. So if you haven't tried it, it's really fun. I do recommend the little dumpling bag. All right, what else have I been working on? You know, other than the Alpine Bloom, not a whole lot, but I did have some scraps of yarn. I'm trying to use up some of my stash. I can't even tell you what this yarn is, but I think I probably have, I don't know, 400, 500 yards of this. I got this at my first Vogue. It was in a sale bin. I'm sure it is silk and cotton. It's some pretty muted pastel tones. So I just made the little Sophie scarf, and I thought this will be a little gift for someone. These really aren't my colors. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought it, but I have a lot of people in my life who this would just be adorable on and would definitely be in their color wheel. You know, I made that everyday wrap out of that gorgeous teal mohair silk yarn, and I had some of that left over, so I made a little Sophie scarf out of that. I made this one a little bigger so you could come around twice and then sew that. And then tie that on the side. And that is definitely my color. So that one I will definitely keep. And you know, if you're wearing a little boat neck, or if you're wearing something, or you're going out and you just, a white cotton blouse, and you just want a little something in there, it kind of looks like an ascot. So those are really fun to make. And I do believe, that's petite knit. So I think that might be a paid for pattern. Okay, so let's see what's happening now. Well, I think that I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. I did want to give you an update on the MCAL. As you know, I finished my twist and turns, the Stephen West twist and turns mystery knit along big shawl, and I donated it to the medical center's virtual fundraiser. And you know, I really didn't know if it was going to go, and it did. It sold. Somebody bought it and donated that money to the medical center, and our medical center raised over $100,000. Wow, that was incredible. So I'm very pleased that I was able to get that to someone who's really going to enjoy it and who, you know, donated it and did a good thing for the medical center. So that's all I have for you today. I hope the next time I talk to you, I will be maybe showing you a cake that I've been thinking about making. We have my husband's niece and nephew, and our great niece and nephew are going to be out there renting a house on Block Island for the next 2 weeks. I'm hoping my mom is coming out. I'm hoping my sister-in-law is coming out. So I've been holding off making this cake. But you know, I showed you that pistachio raspberry buttercream cake in the last episode, and this is the same woman. This is Sugar and Sparrow, and this is an ice cream cake, and you make your own ice cream. And I don't know if you remember, but when you were kids and the ice cream truck came into your neighborhood, there was a popsicle shaped treat, and it was called the strawberry shortcake. And it had like a crumbly coating on the outside and strawberry vanilla ice cream on the inside, and that is the inspiration for this cake. So I have everything I need to make it except for the heavy cream, and so I'm going to try to shoot myself, video myself maybe making this and sharing it with you next time. So enjoy the rest of July, and I hope you're staying cool. I know, it's hot, it's unbearably hot in so many areas in this country, and I pray that you're keeping hydrated and whatever you're doing to stay cool, and let's just pray that this heat wave breaks soon. We had a little thunder shower this morning. We're gonna have another one this afternoon. I can't complain. We've got ocean breezes here, but for those of you out in the Midwest, and I keep thinking about Bridget of Bridget's She Shed, and she's out in Arizona, and I'm like, Bridget, oh, I'm worrying about you, but she seems to be doing okay. She's still knitting her socks, and she's in air conditioning, so I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.